Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe, here with me is my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
Chapter 12, because I don't know if we did that last time. I'm just going to deal with it a little. Sturm describes the Knights of Salamia on page 128 of the edition I have, basically just hiding behind their castle walls from their debt collectors, which is rather pathetic. In the medieval period, debt collectors didn't often go to collect from knights and lords. They kind of had swords. They weren't shy about using them on debt collectors. Some, like the Medici, were cleverer than the others. They had their own knights and warriors. And the Medici also had the favor of kings and popes. Too bad the Salamnic Knights don't have those advantages. As to the Pegasus ride, nothing much really happens with it. The Queshu tribe being slaughtered.
Got better.
As seen from our little clip of Monty Python, the one character says, I got better. You could say that about the Queshu tribe. Oh, they were slaughtered to the last man, except they got better. Few of them survived after they were supposed to have all been slain. The problem is this event is also outside of one brief moment of the trilogy where, a good chunk of the tribe survived. It's never brought up. It's not really used for character development. The characters never have nightmares later on about it. They don't care about it. This is essentially filler. Riverwind doesn't really bond with anyone except Tanis at one point in chapter 15, which actually it's a nice moment where he just clasped Tanis's shoulder and Tanis appreciates it. I like this scene, but out of context of the story, because men do tend to do the silent shoulder clasp thing and whatnot. No, that's very masculine. That's in that moment it's well written. But the trouble is there's no gradual defrosting of Riverwind. He just 1 minute to the next, he's a besties with Tanis. Riverwind is just, there's so little so far that we've gotten to kind of bond with, I think, because it's just, he keeps disrespecting the companions and just being I don't know. Anyways, we have the message from Verminar. This also, the only touching part during the Queshu tribe scene is Caramon patting a dog. That's the only touching and semi-heartbreaking moment. The rest is just, it feels flat.
Poor dog.
Yeah. Now, that said, we then get a bit of a humorous thing of a fake dragon with Tass popping up into it and pretending to be a dragon and threatening to burn Caramon alive. Which is Caramon, though, convinced it's a real dragon, and Tass scares the Draconians, which is Tanis initially doesn't see through it, but then once he does, thanks to Flint, Tanis has a knucklehead side and doesn't see through it until he's told that it's Tass. Then he grabs all the weapons for everyone. Caramon tries to help Raceland. Of course, Raceland behaves abusively towards poor Caramon. No, there's no excuse for some of his behavior during this chapter. Raceland's pretty abusive here.
Yeah, he was poisoned.
But at the same time, how do you feel, brother? How do I always feel?
No need to snap at him.
Raceland always feels like garbage. And that's his life. Just perpetual illness. You have to compare him to Gregory House from Dr. House. In my opinion, if you like House as a character, you have to kind of like Raceland. If you dislike House, you're going to dislike Raceland. It's just, although I would argue House is far less sympathetic than Raceland for the most part. Raceland's in constant pain, so that probably worsens his mood. Chronic pain does not make people cheerful campers. That said, there's no need to take it out on Caramon. He's just trying to help. That aside, we get the funny moment of, when you basically have Tass running around with the dragon head. Raceland just cracks up. He's just cackling like a maniac. To be quite honest, it's a scene where you kind of have Caramon surprised because he doesn't hear Raceland laugh too often. And it's a bit funny. When I was a kid, I remember laughing along with Raceland. It was just so... And I honestly, even as a kid, I was kind of like, why are you scorning him, Tanis? What's with you? It's an evil-sounding laugh. Okay, how do I put it? It would not be a very loud laugh because Raceland barely has any breath in his body. Just saying. It's essentially, no offense, but I imagine it more as a hissing laugh. It wouldn't, from all descriptions, it does not sound pleasant. But on the other hand, I like Tanis. I don't want to always insult or criticize him, but for him and Goldmoon to begrudge him even that, it's just, can he not laugh without you judging Dragon?
And it was harmless laughter. He's like, oh god, that's funny. Of course that's clown around like that, saving our lives.
And apparently Tass doesn't take offense at it. Doesn't get all worked up about that laugh. Yes, it's probably a horrible laugh, but Tanis and Goldmoon's reaction is almost cartoonish.
Tass would probably see it as, he's always so miserable. What's wrong with him having one moment of laughter?
Yeah, like I said, on page 161, Tass and Caramon are more amazed to hear Raceland laughing. I'm just going to crack open the actual page because Caramon stares at his brother in amazement, Goldmoon in horror. But we also get Sturm, Riverwind, and Flint don't really react Sturm actually has a different reaction. He actually gets concerned. Sturm eyed the laughing Raceland warily. What's the matter with him? Still poisoned? And you have, no, he's better, Tannis said. A pity, Sturm muttered. It's actually kind of funny on Sturm's part, but on the other hand, we both know Sturm means it. He doesn't joke around. So yeah, he's got his mean side. Hey, I'm charmed because it's Sturm. First reaction of Sturm is to wonder if maybe instead Raceland is choking. From what it seems more like Raceland's almost choking on his laughter. So the impression Tannis and Goldmoon get of evil is contrasted by Sturm, who seems to react with a bit of more confusion and...
Is he alright?
Yeah, so...
well aware. Raceland is always sick. He's always feeling miserable.
Especially after that test. In the closing paragraph on page 162, and he wheezed, his shoulders shaking in silent grim amusement. Raceland is not breathing well as he's laughing. So this is obviously physical torture for the man. It's always different reactions here when it comes to Raceland. Dudes. As to chapter 15, when they arrive at Xak Tsaroth, we got an obelisk with runes. Raceland translates them. It's basically a welcoming to... We get a bit of exchange between Goldmoon and Raceland, where Goldmoon reacts with pity, Raceland with a bit of sick amusement. Here, I'm kind of with Goldmoon. Horror is natural. Raceland's reaction is one of, whatever, they're already dead, what do I care? Even though Raceland's the historian on this team, he's like, yeah, whatever, like I care about essentially Pompeii, like the city of Pompeii. And it's just,
they're dead, what can we do about it?
Yeah, but he actually reacts with sick amusement.
Which is something to be concerned about.
Previously, we had said, dude kept pulling through for the team out of essentially the goodness of his heart for the team, when it would have been easier to kill them or leave them to die. So their hostility did not make sense. Here it makes sense. That aside, a Draconian appears and disappears into the well, with Raceland realizing he's going off to warn someone. Tannis and Riverwind and Goldmoon all freeze with magical fear and terror, which not their fault. These dragons come with a fear aura. No character who kind of acts like a moron here should be blamed. Not to mention, even without a fear aura, I'd kind of freeze up at the sight of a dragon. I'm just saying. No one can judge these characters. Of course, we get the Tannis Riverwind bromance scene, which, okay. Yeah, it's fine. It's a good scene. Mm-hmm. But the problem is Riverwind's previous atrocious behavior makes it so that the scene is completely out of the blue. And, it's like, okay, so dude's more verbally abusive against Tannis than... Okay, there we go. Porthios, Gilthanis, Raceland, and Flint put together, but those four characters don't get a pass.
Narrator bias.
Dragon appears, which... There's an interesting scene where Tannis kind of thinks the dragon almost looks beautiful. It's almost an out-of-body experience. Here, I'll actually say, this is some of the best writing in the book. It's just, up to this point, it's just, Tannis is staring in fascination, and you can't help but kind of stare with him. It's a great scene. I love this part. I remember, like I said, when I was a kid at 11 years old, just kind of being mesmerized by that part. Kind of imagining the dragon and feeling a bit of the fear myself. It's one of those scenes where you really feel yourself to be in Tannis's boots. Honestly, it's one of the best scenes. Not I may whine about some of the other scenes, but this scene completely saves the chapter. This is a great chapter because of that one scene. The other scenes are great in this chapter for the most part. But it's just... And the dragon's named Kassan, and she's the guardian of this area, and she's keen to get the blue crystal staff, with Goldmoon kind of freezing up and screaming. Who could blame her? I think even Jason Voorhees would take one look at this thing and break for it, because in the end, it spits its poisoned breath at the team, or acidic breath, and the corrosive breath has an immediate effect, one could say, on Riverwind, exposing a great deal of him.
Because here it is, Riverwind was looking for Goldmoon. Oh, where is she? Where is she? While everyone's
not his fault.
But everyone kept telling him, hey, don't stay near her. Get the cover.
Yeah, so here it's a very human scene. Panic is natural. The companions are all panicking in their own way. Same with Riverwind. No, we judge him for a lot, but here I don't think anyone should judge him too harshly. I'm just saying, I'm not a big fan of the character. I don't actually like the character. He's my least favorite character of this team, to an extent, maybe after Goldmoon, but I actually get where his character's coming from. This is one of my favorite Riverwind scenes. I'm just gonna be honest. Because, he's reacting like a human being. He's going, but my wife's basically out there. I like this scene. It's not as good as any Caramon scene, or Sturm scene, or Tannis scene, but I'll take it for what it's worth. That said, now we get here the possibility of a mercy kill as Sturm decides to give a prayer to Tannis, which is a really, really, really good prayer. I really like this prayer.
I love this scene.
Yes. Return this man to Huma's breast, beyond the wild impartial skies. Grant to him a warrior's rest, and set the last spark of his eyes free from the smothering clouds of wars. Upon the torches of the stars, let the last surge of his breath take refuge in the cradling air, above the dreams of ravens, where only the hawk remembers death. Then let his shade to Huma rise beyond the wild. And if it was me being the writer, thence the sword struck downward, or something. I would actually have the sword swing. Because, you know what? This is the perfect send-off for Riverwind. You need a death in the party to make it real.
And it would make Riverwind a far better character.
Yeah, he becomes a martyr. Because, yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, killing off Sturm at the point where he dies, fine, I guess it's necessary. But I kind of feel that there should almost be a death each of the Chronicles. You get Riverwind in Dragons of Autumn Twilight, Sturm in Winter Night, and Flint in Spring Dawning. That would set the scene perfectly, so that each book comes with a cost. And the trouble is, by having this blue crystal staff heal Riverwind here, it steals a potential character arc for Goldmoon. She needed the powers of that kind of healing at this very moment the most, but imagine if she failed. This would mark her forever. And then she'd carry that burden and that weight throughout the rest of the Chronicles, so that you get an arc where this weighs on her, because this was the man she loves. And from there, she can basically learn to heal on a level almost on that of Crysania and the King Priest, maybe, with this blue crystal staff. My idea would be that she's cursed with the power to heal Riverwind after Riverwind's already dead. Tries 3 times, then you get the Sturm song there, and then he swings the sword. That's the last you see of Riverwind. The next chapter begins with his burial. And from there, you could launch Goldmoon, you know, as being more than just arm candy. On top of that, Goldmoon is written out of the series as quick as possible in Spring Dawning. Same with Riverwind. It's like, oh, right, we've got these 2 extra characters, so we don't want anything to do with, we don't want to use them. What do we do? Guess we just write them out? Okay, works for me. I know I'm on a rant here, but
They did not.
they don't really do much in the trilogy, but killing Riverwind here gives Goldmoon an arc. Means she has to overcome the death of her husband. And because we would have seen Riverwind and seen him interact with her, we'd kind of get 2 versions. The jerk the other companions saw, but then when Goldmoon would talk about to them, they'd get to see him like how he was in his youth. And we get to, you know, like some of the companions got the wrong impression of him, but like a different impression of him than Goldmoon. And thus we see 2 different sides of the character. And thus we get, in, like you said, a more complex character. But we don't get that. The writers, I mean, no offense, I love Weiss and Hickman. They were not interested in these 2 characters. When what was needed was a death. I know I sound frustrated, but I am. This is the first dragon scene in pretty much 1,000 years almost.
You need a cost. Someone needs to go. And that someone, Riverwind.
Yeah, because Riverwind is essentially superfluous on this team. They already have great warriors in Caramon and Sturm. They already have someone with a romantic plot. That's Caramon with Tika, and even Tanis with Lorana. They already have a knowledgeable warrior who's familiar with the wilds and well-traveled in Tanis and Gilthanas. They already have someone with all the lore of the Question people in Goldmoon, and even to an extent Raceland. They have an honorable warrior in Sturm. Honestly, he's completely superfluous, and I know Riverwind has his fans. You kill him off, you established him as a martyr, and from there, you know, it would only do him a service. And it would do Goldmoon a service because suddenly, you know, the writers would have to develop her and integrate her into the plot with the other characters. Be it with another romance plot, you know, more interactions with them, because the only character she ever interacts with is Riverwind for the rest of the series, for the most part, except on occasion with Tanis. And I guess in 1 or 2 scenes with Caramon and Tika. But those scenes are like, oh, she went to talk to Tika. Okay, but we don't see it. And even then, that's only like 1 scene, maybe 2 scenes. If you remove Riverwind, she has to step out from behind him and talk to people. And that would be much more dynamic. Heck, we would have gotten a better developed sister bond between her and Tika. We were robbed, I say. Robbed, I tell you.
We would have also gotten more character development for Riverwind.
Yeah.
Because we would have seen him from the past, as you said, from a boy developing into the man. And we would have probably appreciated...
What's more is that they could have used him in maybe Test of the Twins as a bit of a shade, serving as a guide in the abyss, where I'm not saying he should go to the abyss, no, where maybe his soul was sent to the wrong place or seized, and he could serve as a guide for Caramon and whatnot, coming in as a integral character in Test of the Twins, or serving as a guide for Crysania or Raceland or something, and then for Caramon as he pulls through for everyone and helps save the world. Maybe we should make a separate series of videos just depicting our idea for how the plot could have progressed. Let us know in the comment section. The thing is, this could have saved Riverwind as a character.
It would have made him grander
The thing is, don't think we're against Riverwind as a character. We're just against the noble savage stereotype. When a noble savage is written well, you get Conan the Barbarian. But it's just, when it's overused and it's poorly written, it's not fun. That said, most of the characters and the companions are just so well written. Tanis, Sturm, Taz, Flint, Raceland, Caramon. Videos run for over long. If you want to stay tuned for more of our rants, I guess, don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button as though you were Sky smashing the High Claris Tower and Sturm to pieces.